We turn now to Craig Green. He's a professor of law at Temple University. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, first, I'd like to get your reaction to what's been revealed in this indictment. How serious and significant is this case against the former president?
Case is very serious. Of course, the main thing to say is that we're only seeing the prosecutor's side. So if there is defense evidence, it hasn't been presented yet. But the thing you can tell from this very extensive indictment is very detailed, and it indicates quite a substantial amount of evidence. So there are particular vignettes, for example, where President Trump is showing a document to someone and talking about, well, I can't declassify this. And another one, he's, don't look too closely. This is all top secret. And I think these sorts of things, along with, they actually also have pictures of some of the places where the documents were stored. And one of these pictures shows a box of documents with a bunch of papers spilled out on the floor that I think communicates the kind of recklessness that Jack Smith and the prosecutors are trying to get across, and the danger to national security of these particular documents that were mishandled.
Well, this is the first time a former president has faced federal charges. This is certainly an unprecedented situation that we are experiencing. We keep hearing that no one is above the law. Talk about the evidence that you mentioned that was required to bring this all about. And in this case, could we learn the motivation behind keeping all of this?
Yeah, a couple of things to say. Donald Trump has had a very bad season with the courts. He was indicted in New York. He lost a defamation case for $5 million. And now today, this federal indictment has been unsealed. This is a very difficult circumstance. And it turns out that every time he loses anything in a court or an election, he then claims that he's the one who's been wronged and the system is cracked and rotten, which is not a very easy message to sell time after time after time. But as for these particular documents, I think the best thing to say is there is no good reason that he should have had these documents or maintained these documents for a year and a half while the government was seeking them. There is no legitimate explanation for why he would have had them. And again, the kind of image the indictment communicates is someone who liked to brag, someone who is very egotistical, someone who liked the image of being a person still in power. And I think that those themes are going to be very hard. One last thing on this topic is, of course, some people will remember when Mr. Trump ran for president in 2016, he was very critical of Hillary Clinton's use and misuse and mishandling of allegedly classified information. And actually, the prosecutor quotes those words right back at him about how important it is for someone in a position of power to take care of these public trust documents that have such great importance. Donald Trump did not live up to those standards that he set forth in 2016.
We're almost out of time, but very quickly, what is the likely time frame for this case, and what kind of sentence could President Trump see if he's convicted? Could he end up behind bars, and for how long?
Yeah, the sentence will be very far down the road, probably appeals and the rest of it. But the most urgent thing is, of course, this is all happening not just to a former president, as you mentioned, but someone who's aspiring to be a future president. And the electoral calendar is going to have debates, it's going to have primaries, and the GOP Republican voters are going to have to decide whether they want this man to be their flag holder in an election cycle when we don't know whether he'll be convicted or not, much less what the sentence might be.
All right, Professor Craig Green, thank you so much for breaking this all down for us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.